Let's talk about loyalty, not the aesthetic kind, not the social media kind where people post quotes about real ones and then ghost you when life gets inconvenient. I mean the kind that costs something, the kind that requires sacrifice, because that kind of loyalty, that's rare. Picture it. Naomi had a whole life, a husband, 2 sons, a home, a future, a name people respected. Then famine hit, and her family relocated to Moab. Temporary move, just until things got better. At least, that was the plan. But life has a funny way of rewriting plans. Her husband dies, then one son dies, then the other son dies. And suddenly, Naomi is standing in a foreign country with no provider, no children, no income, and no roadmap. Just grief. And 2 daughters-in-law. That's it. That's all that's left. Now, if we're being real, that kind of loss changes a person. Naomi herself said it. Don't call me Naomi anymore. Call me Mara. Naomi means pleasant. Mara means bitter. That's not drama. That's devastation. She was saying, the version of me you knew, she's gone. And honestly, that level of honesty is rare, because some people are drowning and still pretending they're fine. Naomi wasn't pretending. She named her pain. And there's something powerful about that, because healing starts where denial ends. So Naomi hears the famine is over in Bethlehem, and she decides to go home, not because she's hopeful, because she has nothing else. And on the road, she turns to her daughters-in-law and tells them to leave. Go back, rebuild your lives, find husbands, start over. And this is where the story splits. Orpah leaves. And let's be clear, Orpah was not wrong. She made the rational choice, the practical choice, the understandable choice. And scripture doesn't shame her for it, because not everyone who leaves is betraying something. Sometimes they were never assigned to stay. That's a whole word. But Ruth stayed. And not halfway. Not, I'll check on you for a few weeks. Not, I'll help until you're settled. No, she made a covenant. And when she spoke, history shifted. Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God. Ruth 1, verse 16. That wasn't emotional support. That was a transfer of identity. Ruth was saying, I am tying my future to yours. And here's what makes it wild. Naomi had nothing to offer. No wealth, no security, no guarantees, no social advantage, just grief. And Ruth chose her anyway. That's covenant loyalty.
And we need to pause there because our generation struggles with this. We're good at connections, terrible at covenant. We know networking. We know strategic relationships. We know keeping doors open. But loyalty that remains when there's no visible benefit, that's rare. Because most people stay where there's value. Few stay where there's only responsibility. And that's what makes Ruth different. She chose commitment over convenience. And commitment always costs. She left her homeland, her language, her customs, her comfort zone, her people, everything familiar, to walk into a culture where she would always be seen as the outsider. She knew that, and she still went. That's bold. Now let me tell you about Marla. Marla had a best friend named Leah. Since childhood. Same schools, same dreams, same everything. When they got older, life diverged. Leah's father got sick, then her mother. Then everything financially collapsed. And suddenly Leah became caregiver, provider, and emotional anchor all at once. Her social life disappeared. Her plans got delayed. Her energy drained. People slowly faded. Because hardship makes relationships expensive. But Marla stayed. Not loudly, not performatively. Just consistently. She helped with appointments, covered groceries when needed, showed up for late-night breakdowns, sat in hospital waiting rooms, celebrated tiny wins, years, not weeks. And people kept asking, why are you investing so much in someone who can't give anything back? That question exposes the mindset. Because some people only understand relationships through return on investment, but Marla understood covenant. Years later, Leah launched a nonprofit for caregivers, and who became operations director? Marla. Not because she planned it, because loyalty positioned her. That's Ruth energy. Because loyalty is never wasted. It may not pay immediately, but it compounds. Back to Ruth. She arrives in Bethlehem with Naomi during barley harvest, and harvest season mattered, because under Israelite law, the poor could glean from fields. Basically, landowners were commanded not to harvest everything. They had to leave the edges, and whatever dropped stayed for the poor. And Ruth goes to glean.
And the text says she happened to end up in Boaz's field. I love when scripture says happened, because we both know that was no accident. Boaz notices her, asks who she is, and the workers tell him about her. But notice, they don't describe her beauty first. They describe her loyalty. Her reputation arrived before she did. That matters, because character introduces you before credentials ever can. And Boaz responds with kindness, protection, provision, favor. Why? Because loyalty has currency in the kingdom. And eventually, he redeems her family line, marries her, restores Naomi, builds legacy. And here's the twist. Ruth becomes the great-grandmother of King David and part of the lineage of Jesus himself, mentioned by name in Matthew 1 verse 5. The foreign woman, the outsider, the widow, the one with no insider advantage. Because covenant can place you where pedigree never could. That's huge. Because we live in a world obsessed with strategy, plans, contingencies, exit options, backup moves. But Ruth had none of that. She had commitment. And commitment is its own kind of prophecy. Because when you stay faithful without seeing the outcome, you're declaring trust in a future you cannot yet explain. That's faith. And the Hebrew word woven through Ruth's story is chesed. It means steadfast love, loyal love, covenant love. The kind that exceeds obligation, love that stays past requirement, faithfulness that continues when it no longer has to. That's the essence of the story. Ruth embodied chesed, Boaz embodied chesed, and through them, God's chesed entered history. That's what transformed everything. Not strategy, not status, not opportunity, love that stayed. So let me ask you, what have you been treating as optional that God calls covenant? Who have you abandoned because the relationship stopped benefiting you? What assignment have you walked away from because it became inconvenient? Because in a culture of exits, staying has become radical. And sometimes, the very breakthrough you're praying for is hidden in the loyalty you're tempted to quit. Ruth left everything, and in doing so, gained more than she could have imagined. That's the paradox of covenant. You lose what is familiar and inherit what is eternal. Because the road that looks costly in the moment can become the path into legacy. And every time someone chooses love over convenience, history shifts a little. That's the power of staying.
If something in this story stayed with you and if it's still sitting somewhere in your chest, that's not an accident. That's the thing we don't scroll past. Hit like. Not as a reflex, but as a marker, because somewhere out there, a witness is still looking for proof that their story isn't over. And this might be how they find it. Pass it to that friend, the one whose testimony is still being written, the one who hasn't heard the scripture told this way before. And subscribe to Bible Rebooted. We don't come here to perform. We come here to tell the truth and to hand you the evidence that you were never as far gone as it felt. Every story is evidence. It's your boy Kairos Ade signing out. Like, subscribe, and stream the music.
Bills piling up high, another sleepless night. Trying to be strong for my kids, but I'm losing all my fight. Got the weight of the world, yeah, it's crushing my chest. This ain't just any struggle.